Welcome back to On the Mind. I'm Austyn.
I'm Bryce.
And the ghost of Duncan is with us.
In our hearts.
And haunting us always. So today we're going to talk about a pretty hot topic, actually, as we normally do. But this one kind of hits close to home just because how we feel personally about the situation. So we're going to try to bring facts to the firing of James Comey. And let me tell you, when I first found out about this, all I could think is, he's really not that stupid, is he? And I looked at the news, and yes, Trump has hit a all new low in approval ratings and stupidity.
Yes.
But it's going to get even further than that, folks. So let's go ahead and talk about the first, let's say, 48 hours. I'm going to go with that because...
Okay, yeah.
The first 48 hours, it was revealed that Comey wasn't even directly fired. He saw it on the TV screens while he was doing his job that he was fired, and he's like, haha, what a funny joke. And he continued going. And then
That's
later...
integrity, folks.
Yeah. Later, Trump, was it Trump, or did he just get the letter?
He got the letter signed by Trump.
With some interesting wording that we'll get to later that said, hey, by the way, that wasn't a joke. You're actually fired.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so if you're not aware, James Comey was the head of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And his job was, among other things, to investigate Trump's ties to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the Trump team that was... Anyway, so Trump has... It's not the first time he's gone after Comey. In fact, they've butted heads on several occasions, one of which Comey outright said that Obama did not wiretap you, stop lying.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump actually invited him to a meal and asked him to take a loyalty pledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
I remember that.
Some fun stuff.
Trump asked Comey to pledge his loyalty. This is not coming from Trump. This is coming from Comey. How did Trump word it? Just said that it was just a dinner, and he asked for the truth, I believe. And Comey said, yeah, I'll give you the truth. Well, anyway, in Comey's version, Trump asked literally for him to pledge his loyalty, which is exactly the kind of creepy thing that Donald Trump absolutely would say. I don't think any of us are questioning the former FBI director's testimony on this. Well, he said no.
Even if you hate James Comey, he says what he believes is true.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it...
Sometimes he has bad timing on that.
Horrid timing, yes. And I'm sure Hillary hates him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A second time, Trump asked Comey for his loyalty, and he said, no, but I'll be truthful. Which, I mean, that's what he should be. That's good.
Right. He is widely respected in the FBI.
Oh, yeah, the FBI loves him. They also hate Trump.
Well, he's been bashing him since his first day in office.
Yes. The Vice News was speculating that the firing of Comey could potentially lead to not him leaking information, but people within the FBI who really admired Comey and also hate Trump, because there's so many of them, that they could potentially leak information.
And I want to point out something. It just happened recently. This wasn't in the first 48 hours. Comey was asked to come to Congress to testify during a secret meeting, and he said, look, if I'm going to testify, it's going to be at a public hearing. So that's actually pretty interesting, because in a secret hearing, his questions can be led and it can be interpreted however they want to interpret it. But if the public sees what he's saying, there's no doubt how to interpret that. And I think this is Comey saying, well, you hate the media so much, they're going to hear what I have to say, but I'm going to go through the proper channels, unlike you. So
for me, that also says maybe he has some interesting things to say.
As the head of the FBI, I guarantee he had some interesting things to say.
Maybe he has things to say, though, that are pertaining to what, the real investigation between ties of Trump and
I
Russia.
want to point out that Andrew McCabe, the acting FBI director, he word for word said what I would have expected Comey to say at his hearing, since he had to take Comey's place. he said word for word what I would have expected Comey to say. And it just makes me think that Comey prepped him for the eventuality of him being fired.
And that was?
Basically, this has nothing to do with it's not going to stop the investigation. You're still being investigated, Trump. This didn't change a dang thing. You can't stop the FBI. We have the resources. If it's there, we're going to find it.
All right, now let's talk about the tweet, the infamous
Oh.
Trump tweet.
Okay, so you're going to have to narrow that down quite a bit, actually.
The one where Trump threatened Comey after he
yeah.
fired him.
The tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you better hope that no tapes are released. What did he say after that?
I honestly, I try to block out what he tweets.
Well, thanks. That's useful for the podcast.
All right. Hold on.
That's all right.
Let's put a pause on this and look it up.
Okay, I found the tweet. Donald Trump said, James Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. This tells us two things. The first is that, one, there is information, in fact, to be leaked. The other is that if you get old age Chunk from Goonies upset enough, he will admit to doing anything.
I was talking to Duncan about this off the air. What day was it? It must have been. It was when I called you guys to see if you guys wanted to come over for that little fire.
Last Friday?
Was it really last Friday?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I was talking to him. I said, I follow this former CIA intelligence officer on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I worked during the Cold War era. And it just hit me the other day that all foreign operatives have something I would have killed for back in the day. And that's direct access to the enemy head of state's thought process. What he's thinking, what makes him mad, his exact mood day by day. And they can just analyze that, and it's a treasure trove of information for them to just look at and say, okay, he's not focusing over here, so let's poke there. They can always tell when he's off balance or when he's upset. It's just so easy for them to analyze him. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. But speaking of things that are interesting, do you want to talk about the parallels?
Oh, sure. Nixon fired the person investigating Watergate.
Well, okay. Very technically, he didn't fire him. It wasn't the Attorney General because he resigned when he was asked to fire him. It wasn't the Assistant Attorney General because he also resigned when he was told that he needed to fire him. It was the third guy on the food chain, and he did fire him. But then when he was going to be elected for a federal judge position, Congress said, no way, we're not touching you. So it's just interesting. The American public was very against that director being fired as well. So okay, I guess was it a special prosecutor?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it wasn't the FBI director, which honestly would have been a worse choice. Anyway, there are just some interesting parallels. So when you think about it, we're looking for a special prosecutor right now. In fact, I've seen calls for it from Republicans even. You guys might not know this, but I'm a huge fan of Representative Justin Amash.
I was unaware.
He's amazing. I strongly suggest you look him up.
I'll check him out.
Before all the town halls started.
Sounds like you like to check him out.
Okay. I don't know where you're going with that, but he had as many...
You're just speaking very highly. Continue. I'm sorry.
Well, you'll understand after this. He had more town halls than the rest of all the representatives in Congress for the Republicans combined. So...
Yeah, that's cool.
That's incredible to me. It's just he really thinks that if he needs to be held accountable for one, he thinks the whole government needs to. So
you're saying he should be replacing Comey?
No, what I'm saying is he wants... I guess he's kind of like you in a way, where he thinks the people's voice need to be heard. Oh. So I think that, I don't know, in a democracy, ideally, that would work. However, we see quite a few Republicans still on the fence even after all of this. However, I have seen quite a few calls to say if there are tapes, they need to be given to us immediately.
That's right.
So that's something else. But
Yeah, a lot of Republican. Paul Ryan is refusing to comment on this whole Comey firing.
what was that about? P90X?
Um, John Oliver made a joke. Apparently, P90X doesn't include a workout for your backbone.
Because he doesn't have
Yeah.
one. Anyway. So yeah, everybody that isn't completely... It's interesting to watch this because it's almost... It's the split between who's following Trump, who's following the Republican Party, and who's... Because you can see there's differences between who's following party lines and who's like, okay, this is all insane. Can we do something about it?
It's interesting to watch and to speculate exactly where do you draw the line before you have to say, okay, that's it, I'm not supporting Trump. Like, when will it be the last straw? When will Paul Ryan finally say, okay, that's a little too much. We made a mistake here.
He won't.
So let's talk about potential nominees.
Okay, you know more about this one than I do, actually.
Okay, well, let's start with the actual people who have been interviewed. One of them is former Michigan representative. He's a Republican. He was an FBI secret agent for a little while. Another is what's his name? The acting
Andrew McCabe.
Adrian McCade. He's another one of the big. There are 4 right now, and I can't really remember the other 2. But let's switch to the one that the Senate really wants. It's amazing. They want Barack Obama's nominee for the Supreme Court, Merrick Garland. And the biggest advocate for this is Mitch McConnell. Now, if you recall, Mitch McConnell was the Republican senator who led the movement to block Garland's nomination into the Supreme Court.
They didn't give him a hearing.
Yeah, they didn't even give him a hearing. This was over a year that this went on.
Yeah.
They were saying that let's let the people decide with the upcoming election, which is ironic because the people did decide with the previous election of Barack Obama, but that's another story. Merrick Garland is a somewhat centrist. He doesn't really believe in politics. He just does his job. He is a judge, and he judges based on what he believes the Constitution says. He doesn't really go one way or the other, and that's super cool. And it's extremely ironic that Mitch McConnell, being that he didn't want him in the first place when Trump nominated Gorsuch into the Supreme Court, Mitch McConnell actually said it would be a shame to the American people if the Democrats refused Gorsuch. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's an asshole, a Class A asshole. I mean, that's not even like my opinion. That's just a fact. And
it's kind of funny that the heads of both the Senate and the Congress, just in general, the Speaker of the House and Senate Majority Leader, they're both just so horrible. Paul Ryan doesn't have a backbone. McConnell is the biggest hypocrite that I've probably ever seen.
Yes, but at least he's supporting Merrick Garland in this. However, nobody really knows if Merrick Garland even wants to be the FBI director.
I mean, I'm sure he's qualified to be a bureaucrat, but I mean,
He's been a leader in many important cases, such as the Unabomber.
I didn't know that one. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he is qualified, but he hasn't not been interviewed, and quite frankly, he's probably not even interested.
Speaking of horrible handling of things, let's talk about how the Trump team handled this one.
Okay. Oh, so this ties back in with what you were talking about with Nixon, trying to get other people to fire him. Mm-hmm. So, what was the dude's name? Supposedly somebody asked Trump to fire Comey.
Oh, I want to say Rod Rosenstein.
That sounds about right. So the story had been by the Trump team. This was sort of damage control, that somebody advised Trump to fire James Comey. And this had come from a lot of people, including Vice President Pence. It was Rosenstein? Good for
Rod
you.
Rosenstein, too.
Rod Rosenstein.
I can't believe I nailed that one.
What an unfortunate name.
Right. What's her name? Oh, man, I'm glad I forgot this. She's really the worst. Blonde woman that represents Trump.
Oh, wow.
Always says horrible things.
His old campaign manager.
Yeah, what's her name?
I can't think of it now.
I'm so happy I forgot that. Okay, before you remind me, let's just move on. She kept on saying his name was Rosenstein.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway,
It's better.
Anyway.
So that was the story. He had told Trump to fire Comey. And then in an interview with, what's his name again?
Lester Holt.
Lester Holt. Trump said, no, I was going to fire him anyway. It was my idea. I was going to fire him. Then he ended up saying that he had the investigation with ties between him and Russia in mind when he fired Comey, which is the last thing you're supposed to say.
Mm-hmm. He can't even. Anyway, it's just not only that, but I'm sure it's been said dozens of times, but he threw everybody that tried to come to his defense in any other way right under the bus. He threw them all under the bus.
Yeah, pretty much just called them liars, and they were just trying to
keep him out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And
but everything has to come from Trump.
It goes to show you, like, he asked for loyalty pledges, blah blah blah. He has absolutely no loyalty to.
And creepy.
He doesn't have any loyalty to the people that help him out. He doesn't.
Do you think he has people kiss his ring when they do that?
You know, I think the mafia would have something to say about that.
Do you think people like have to bow down, wash his feet, anything like that?
Maybe Melania. I don't want to think about it.
Poor Melania. Somebody save her.
Wasn't that trending one? Anyway. So, it got so bad that Sean Spicer hid among the bushes. Did you see that?
I did notice he hasn't said anything. He's been kind of on vacation lately.
Sort of. What happened was it was reported that he hid in the bushes. Then the next day, the White House clarified he wasn't in the bushes. He was among them. So I thought that was pretty funny. Saturday Night Live did a pretty funny sketch about that.
Some woman's like actually putting cardboard cutouts of his face in bushes. That's all over the internet.
You know, I feel bad for the guy. And he knows what he's doing. And I don't know if he has any remorse for it. But he's not going to be able to live a normal life after this, I don't think.
I feel like he was just some guy. And he was hired to do this. And they're like, we'll give you, $50,000 a year to be Trump's whatever. I don't know what the actual wage is, or the salary, but he's like just some uneducated guy just trying to find a job.
He was an officer in the Navy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's not uneducated. He's not
illiterate. But I'm just imagining he's just some guy trying to keep a job and like...
I will say that...
He doesn't want to lie. He's just trying to do his thing.
It's been reported that Trump's considering replacing a lot of his top advisors, such as Priebus and Bannon. Thankfully, Bannon. Hopefully, Bannon. But it was reported that he was thinking of replacing Sean Spicer with Mike Huckabee's daughter. It was another one of the people that campaigned pretty hard for him. So it's just interesting to watch where this is all playing out. And honestly, it's interesting in the worst way. Like,
he's used to firing people once a week. Get it? Get the reference?
Yeah, I'm aware.
The Apprentice?
Yes. You need to spell it out, like letter. Okay, no, we're not doing that.
I don't know if I could.
Oh, boy.
Are they 1 P's or 2?
That's the kind of information you're getting, folks. Just so you know the quality of our intelligence. All right, so honestly, I don't know what else we can cover without speculating, just pure speculation. So give me a closing statement, Bryce.
Okay. Yeah. Something terrible is going to happen, and if the Senate really wants to know what's going on, all they have to do is say, man, look at that really handsome guy with large hands working with Russia to fool the entire American government. And then Donald Trump will say, no, that's not him. That's me. I'm doing that. And then, mystery solved.
So it's been reported by NBC News that Trump, I don't know if it was on accident or he's probably just bragging about an intelligence source he had that was critical to our intelligence for the Islamic State. He leaked that to the Russian ambassador and, what was the other guy? Foreign minister, that's it. So he leaked top secret information to the Russians in public instead of, how it speculated that there was secret dealings between them. It's just, it'd be nice if things worked out the way they were supposed to.
So fishy.
It just doesn't look good. And I think we've gotten used to presidents going back to casting aside any doubt of impropriety. And then Trump just embracing that as part of the game. It's just...
Can I just say, remember when he was campaigning and he wouldn't even tell us his military strategy because it had to be a secret? Like, he wouldn't tell us the vaguest of details. He would just say, I'm going to destroy ISIS within the first 30 days.
Yeah.
And now he's leaking classified information to Russia.
Mm-hmm. In broad daylight. It really was. Anyway, it's just a lot to take in. We'll probably have more for you in the coming weeks. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, opinions, let us know. If you like the video, please like the video. Mm-hmm. We've got a subscribe button down below if you want to hear us hopefully give you facts instead of more speculation. If you want to hear about a certain topic, let us know. We're here. So, anything else, Bryce?
No, that's all.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and have a nice night.